Signing up for your first tournament can be daunting, but I can almost guarantee you that they're more relaxed than you think, and you're gonna have a good time. These are our top 5 tips to know before playing in your first event. The first thing to look for when you're thinking about playing an event is whether or not it's sanctioned by the PDGA. The tips in this video are mostly going to apply to sanctioned events. If an event is sanctioned, it means the tournament director has registered with the PDGA and registered his event with the PDGA and met all of the requirements to have a sanctioned event. Generally, at sanctioned events, people are going to be a little bit more picky on the rules, and if you're not a PDGA member, your entry fee is going to be $10 extra. And Competition Manual Rule 3.04 says that you have to wear a shirt while playing in a sanctioned event. Sandals are okay though, although I wouldn't recommend it. The next thing it's important to have is a mini. You don't always have to use your mini, but if you're marking your lie from OB, or if you're marking a disc that's stuck in a tree, you're marking your lie on the ground, you have to use a mini for that. So it's a good idea to have one, but you don't always have to use it. And it's important to make sure that your discs are all uniquely marked. They don't have to have your name on it. A lot of people will put their name on the inside rim, but just imagine if someone else threw the same plastic, same color, same stamp disc as you, you have to be able to tell those discs apart. So some people will draw something on the front or put a little dot on the back in a specific spot so that they know that that disc is theirs. But when you're marking your discs, it's against the rules to use paint or a sticker because those have detectable thickness. As far as other equipment, it's a good idea to bring plenty of water so you can stay hydrated, especially if it's warm outside. It's a good idea to bring a towel in case there's any mud on your course or you can dry off your disc. And it's a good idea to bring a stool. Tournament rounds play a lot slower than casual rounds, and so you're going to be probably at a backup for some time. So it's a good idea to bring a stool so you can sit down. Before you play in your event, it's important to make sure that your body is ready to perform at its peak. So eat a healthy breakfast, make sure you're well nourished. Get a good night's sleep. If you have to turn in early so that you can be alert on the course, that's part of the balance that you have to find. And it's a good idea to use the bathroom before you get out on the course. That's the last thing you want in your mind when lining up a death putt. The day of the event, I like to get to the course about an hour before the players' meeting so that I can throw some shots and warm up and maybe even practice a few holes. The players' meeting is usually an event on the schedule, and it's a good idea to go to this, especially at your first event. It's where the tournament director will explain all of the course OBs and any changes that he's had to make. At the end of the players' meeting, the tournament director will bring out the board. The board is a board that has a bunch of slots in it filled with player cards and scorecards. The player cards are pieces of paper that have the player's name, what division they're playing, some other information about it, and the scorecards are the scorecards that you use to keep score during your round. They're organized based on the holes of the course, so usually 1 through 18. You want to find your name and see which hole you're starting on. And usually if you're at the top of that hole, that's when you're going to want to take the scorecard. But make sure you don't take your player card from the board. Basically, that'll just make the TD have a really stressful few minutes. And this year, more and more tournament directors are going to be using the electronic scorecards. So make sure your phone is charged or you have a way to charge your phone at the course. Once you know what hole you're starting on, it's a good idea to get there as quickly as you can, because usually you only have a couple of minutes to walk to your hole. You might be able to practice putting on a nearby basket, but once the 2-minute horn blows, you're not allowed to throw any more shots until the next horn blows, which will be the start of the round. So after your round is done, usually the player who got the lowest score on that card will go ahead and turn the card in, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to make sure that your scorecard gets turned in. So if nobody really wants to, I always offer to just walk the scorecard back to Tournament Central and give it to the tournament director. Usually you have anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half for lunch. The TD will not know right away until he gets all the cards in. So it's a good idea to plan on about 45 minutes and go grab a quick bite and come back. Or if you pack the lunch, that's the real pro move, because then you can eat right there on the course and get as much warm-up time in for the next round as possible. After the second round, if that's the last round for the event, you can check the board and see where you finished and if you want any payout, and then it's polite to stay for the award ceremony. After the awards ceremony, usually the tournament director will have payout set up, and this is structured a little bit different from each tournament director to the next, but usually if you finish in the top 40 or 50% of your field in a non-trophy only amateur division, you'll be given basically a voucher that you can use at the store to pick up some new discs or equipment. While playing your round, the number one thing to know going in is that your round is going to be played a lot slower than usual. For me, I can usually get 18 holes in around an hour, but tournament rounds usually take 3 or 4 hours. One of the biggest differences between tournament rounds and casual rounds can be the teeing order. Lots of times in casual rounds, people are used to playing ready golf, but when you're at a tournament, it's important to know whose turn it is and to give them their time and their opportunity to throw. In general, it's important to try not to be too distracting. Even if nobody on your card is playing, there might be other people playing on a hole nearby. Usually there's a card on just about every hole, so it's important to remember to not be too distracting, whether that's being loud or moving quickly or something like that while someone else is throwing. While your card is throwing, it's important to watch and pay attention to what's happening, whether that's helping them find discs that might have kicked off into the brush, or if you notice any rules violations that you want to let them know about. And possibly most important, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Worrying too much and getting stressed out can take the fun out of tournaments, and most people will play better if they just relax and focus on playing their game. We could go on for a lot longer, but that's at least our top 5 tips for playing in your first event. Let us know down in the comments if you've ever played an event, and why not if you haven't. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more tips to help you become a better disc golfer from Dynamic Discs.